Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the final week of group play matches for the entire season is upon us, and of course that means that the very important seeding for the Stage 5 Major is still up for grabs. Two very interesting series to dive into today. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Everybody outside the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, of course, the first series of the day, New York Subliners up against the Paris Legion. Lots on the line here and lots to really discuss, right? Because as you can see in this video, Diamondcon now back in the starting team for the Subliners. And well, obviously it's been a while since he was back in the team not too long ago, right? You remember the whole like Diamondcon snaking drama against OpTic on Crossroads? That feels like a lifetime ago at this point. We were playing Crossroads Hardpoint, but still, like, the team has changed a lot since then. Clayster stepped out. I mean, it was Standy that was talking on stream about the fact that like he's quit on his team, which is I suppose one way of looking at it, most certainly. And of course they were looking to have a better result up against the Paris Legion, a Paris Legion team that finds themselves also in a very interesting spot because they only have one victory going so into this series, but it was against Los Angeles Thieves. If Thieves lose later this week up against OpTic Chicago, as we might expect them to, then Thieves will be 2-3, and that means that Paris Legion only realistically need one victory this week in order to put themselves in a position to actually start in winners brackets at the major, which of course is going to be hugely important as they take the tiebreaker over Los Angeles Thieves. New York, of course, want to continue improving and at least look like somewhat decent, right, going into the major, and well, you may well imagine that this could be their team going into the World Championship as well. Who really knows if well, Subliners are going to come back. First time, possibly last time against the Subliners, right? This, I'm pretty sure, is the first time all season that Paris have played New York Subliners. I'm pretty sure the only remaining matchup this entire season that hadn't happened so far finally happens here in Stage 5, and well, it certainly did come down to the wire. This game one was absolutely ridiculous. Early on it was kind of back and forth, then Paris pulled out a huge advantage. Mac had a pretty woeful game. At one point he was 9-21 here, and well, you can see Hydra making some nice plays early on as we go in for the communication. Things seemed, I don't know, like when Clayster's on the team, of course he's going to be the talisman. Maybe they felt like they needed, or at least like it maybe would help them without Clayster being on the team, and maybe of course like the vibes didn't seem particularly good, right? So maybe they thought that without him it could do a little bit better, and it didn't exactly seem to be working out well the first part of this game, and well, then we get this Octane wacko as Hydra goes absolutely mental towards the end. This is the screenshot from the scoreboard. At one point, 147 to 233. This is one of those maps, being Checkmate's another one. There are some maps that have good comeback potential. Raid is another one, to be honest, but Garrison has some great, the way the rotations work means that comebacks are very much possible, and New York make an incredible comeback right here. As you can see, at this point, Hydra's like 24-18. I'm pretty sure he finishes out this game like 13-3 or like 14-3, something really incredible. He's actually on a 3 streak right here, so he finishes out the game like 15-16-3 to finish off the job. Pretty unbelievable takeover here towards the end of this game, and well, they get the job done. I mean, the scoreboard, as you can see at the end right here, unfortunately they didn't bring the damage up. 36-23 from Hydra. He made a massive play over towards the end of the game, and that was one of the biggest collapses we've seen this entire season for the Paris Legion, right? Losing a game like that, my confidence personally would be absolutely shot, and it did seem to be the case for a time where we went into this game number 2, and well, Diamondcon had a nice play right here, but to be fair to the Paris Legion, they do bounce back pretty nicely, end up taking this map, and then we go into, well, as you can see right here, if Paris had $1 for every time New York Subliners went to round 11 this season, they might be able to buy some new players as Gurge over the flank side of things. So yeah, maybe, well, I'm sure they're considering what potential roster moves they might make in the coming days, as we talked about most certainly in yesterday's video. Then there we go into this control, and this again, like Hydra's just making some crazy plays, and it felt like initially when he was on the team with Clayster, he had this crazy takeover potential, which clearly he still does, and that is the big question mark about the communication or whatever issues they might be having over the Subliners. It raises questions as to whether, who gets Hydra next season. Does he stay here? Like, what do you do? Maybe if Clayster didn't want to play with Hydra or was getting frustrated with him, then like, which players do you keep? Which players do you get rid of? Many questions to answer. But I mean, Hydra continues to make pretty phenomenal plays, and well, this is also a bit of a question mark. People were discussing the fact that like Aqua breaking the GAs in round 3 of the control, splitting the artillery apparently since deleted, so maybe he didn't actually do this, I'm not 100% sure, but still splitting the artillery and like calling in one streak and then saving it and then calling in another streak is like, that's gentleman's agreemented, so maybe he did that by accident, who really knows. And then this happened, right? We go into this map 4, and as EasyMac points out, this I thought was pretty entertaining. I'll actually bring it up on the screen, I suppose, so you guys can see it in all its glory. This kind of banner came up at the bottom of the screen. Subliners defeat Legion 3-1, match tied 2-2, coming up standoff search and destroy. Kind of funny. I mean, obviously it's just like an accidental thing, right? They put the banner up here, which has the two things that could have happened, right, during this game, whether Subliners actually did win or whether it actually gets tied 2-2. And I guess they delete one of these after before they actually put it live. But they put it live by accident, I suppose, in the middle of the map. But it kind of looked like to some people, right, when they were seeing this, okay, is well, are they kind of predicting the games or something like that, or is it pre-recorded? There's always this kind of discussion, right, when something like this happens. But to be fair to Paris, they win this final map, and well, they take it to the game 5. But it was actually close to the subliners that completely ran away with this one. And I see him talking on Twitter afterwards about how, you know, he's like the engineer guy. He's also calling all the shots and the strategies and trying to do a great job of that without a guy like Clayster, right? And pretty impressive to see they win a game like this so convincingly, especially because Mac had a pretty horrible series up until this point and then went massive in this round. I mean, Tem is absolutely mind-blown, as you can see. Clutches a very nice 1v3 indeed to set them up nicely to close out the rest of this game, as indeed they do. Subliners take it 6-1, dominant on standoff, and well, they secure that victory. That puts Paris in a bit of a questionable situation for them. As you can see right here, that snaps a 4-match losing streak for the subliners. So while Clayster comes out of the team, immediately they get a victory back on the board. And while overall series statistics, Hydra has a pretty massive one. Scraps with one of his worst series, to be honest, we've seen from him this entire season. So they can still bounce back, of course, against London in a couple of days. But as you can see, this is how it stands right now. Paris technically at the bottom, but if Thieves lose, and while Paris Legion win against London in just a couple of days now, then well, still there's a possibility for them to make the winners bracket, I do believe. Of course, on the other side of things, as you can see right here, OpTic 3-0. If they win it, they go 4-0. They secure that number 1 spot in the bracket, which is going to be massive for the major, because that means you get a bye in the winners bracket. Makes it very easy to get top 3 and potentially beyond through to the championship Sunday. So this is how things go. Scump early on starts off a win today, guarantees his first seed in Major 5. Let's get it, he says. Hashtag Bring Pride Bring. This is a classic moment from, well, up against Dallas Empire not too long ago. And this happened right up against Atlanta FaZe. The foam runners are out and about. And while Scump was wearing them again, the superstitious stuff going on right to the OpTic cap as it tends to see if it will get them the victory once again today up against the London Royal Ravens. And to be fair to Scump and the guys, and Scump especially, he was absolutely on fire in this game. Game 1 was pretty interesting, to be fair. Like early on, first of all, it was interesting to see Raid Hardpoint on display, because OpTic don't usually play this map as of late. I wonder if this is kind of a FaZe thing, whether they're thinking, okay, let's just expand our map pool a little bit, because you need to be good at a lot of different maps, and Raid has been one of their weaker ones as of late. So maybe they're thinking against London, okay, let's keep it in the map pool and give it a go here, because they've definitely had some pretty heartbreaking defeats on this map this entire season. Like there's been several, well, circumstances a few months ago, right, stage 2, stage 3, around that kind of time, where they would lose a lot of close maps here on well, it was on Raid Hardpoint, of course. Now they tried up against London, and to be fair, some of these maps can get pretty close, because it's very easy to hold down rotations and such. Like you saw quite often, London would go into Garage, they'd basically get a full 60, then the OpTic guys would go over to, the basketball hill, and they get a lot of time over there as well. So it's very rotation heavy. It requires a lot of discipline and teamwork and coordination, and just really playing great fundamental Call of Duty, which OpTic kind of lacked towards the start of the season. Now they're finding it again, and while they win this one 250-207, not exactly incredibly comfortable, but still, all things considered, there's nothing you can bet on more than London Royal Ravens when it comes down to the wire, ending up throwing away a map, which is pretty much what they do every single series at this point, despite getting close. The Search and Destroy was pretty spectacular, because early on, you saw some crazy moments. I mean, watch some shots from Afro here. We'll see some incredible shots from Afro in this in the map 3 as well. But is there anyone you would choose right now in a 1 versus 1 other than Scump? Like, this goes out of control. Getting a series like this, or situations like this in this 1 versus 1, it kind of reminded me of the Scump versus Cellium clutch from, I think it was Anaheim, right, in Black Ops 4, when it was like the old guard in Scump against the rookie in Cellium, and you've kind of got that in Afro right here. And well, it's Scump versus Afro, like you've got to put your money on the veteran here. Scump closes out the round, and this really was only the beginning for Scump's dominance in this Moscow Search and Destroy. This one was pretty incredible. He jumps in the window again on Afro just a couple of rounds later, and Afro really in a position, you've got to win this gunfight. Scump jumps up and completely destroys him, and well, that isn't the last time that Scump makes some crazy plays in this map. It goes all the way down to the wire though, so a 5-1 advantage OpTic build up, but then things get a little bit questionable, right? And this is where OpTic have to be careful, because they can do particularly well, but they did this also against FaZe, right, when they went up 4-2, right, in a couple of the Search and Destroys, and then they throw away a couple of cheap rounds. They're not playing as fundamentally as they were before. And especially against the better teams, you've got to be careful about stuff like this, throwing away rounds like that, because even a 5-1 advantage can quickly go the other way. And what we saw right here, it comes back to 5-4. And it's a 2 versus 4 for the OpTic guys, and Scump's in such a difficult spot. But look at this, right? Takes down one off bomb, gets a lovely kill on the bomb heady right here, and then throws a Semtex. And what do you know? The Semtex actually works in Scump's favour. Takes down Afro, gets an incredibly important 3-piece. And well, Dashy can just run away for the hills, and that is going to be good enough to secure the game. So OpTic, a little bit questionable at times, but still a very comfortable map win on the whole, at least in terms of, well, their peak performance was much higher than what Ravens are bringing up right here. But then we go into Control. This is where it seemed inevitable, to be honest, that OpTic would find a way to close this one out 3-0, which of course they did, but still, I mean, it got a little bit sketchy at times. This especially from Afro. Like, Afro was on a mission this game, and it's really impressive to see. I hope that he is one of the players that London decides to build around next year. I mean, look at this snap he gets on Scump. Like, you got to get Scump back right for getting kind of destroyed by him in the previous map. Like, you don't often see Scump kind of get destroyed like that. Happens right here, and it's Afro who's the culprit, and he got full streaks, as you can see at this point, by getting in pretty much an 8 streak for London to close out their offense. I mean, those shots are absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, then he uses the streaks to not great defeat. I'm pretty sure this happened on Standoff Search that London played not too long ago, where aBeZy got full streaks, and then pretty much butchered both of them, and then it didn't really work out in their favour at all, especially on a map like Ray. Like, streaks are pretty damn good. It's a pretty open map, but it doesn't really work out in their favour. But still, aBeZy almost gets more streaks towards the end, but in the end, it comes down to a round 5. And this is the problem, right? With OpTic, like, I was pretty confident they could clutch this up, but Ravens, I was incredibly confident that they would find a way to throw this away. Like, they had a 2-1 advantage. You know, always when it comes down to the wire for Ravens, round 11s, round 5s in control, close hardpoints, as pretty much happened this series, they always find a way to lose. So, yeah, OpTic get over the line. Impressive stuff from them, no doubt, and that does indeed secure them the first seed. These were the overall series scoreboards. I mean, this is what tends to happen when OpTic have a good series. Scump plus 12, most damage in the lobby, 67 kills. Dashy not too far behind, a 1.44 KD for him. And, well, Envoy doing an incredible amount of damage as well, especially in that final control. aBeZy had a good series. Alex, I mean, he had a great series just a couple of days ago up against the subliners. Here he goes, 35 and 70 for double negative. So, not exactly ideal on the London side of things, but on, well, the OpTic side, that is a great job for them. Well done indeed. First seed secured for the major. That means 1 series victory, you get top 3 already. And, I mean, they put themselves in prime position right now to actually give this a great run and give it a go to win the championship here at the Stage 5 major. Their final opportunity, of course, to do so before we get to the World Championships not too far around the corner. So, very much intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upset the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.